Hi everybody, welcome back to my LinkedIn Live. I'm Jasmine Navarro, certified wellbeing expert, working with educational institutions and companies, helping them support their family wellbeing challenges. As you know, every week I interview different experts who make a difference. And today I'm super excited to be interviewing Carolina. Hi Carolina, thank you for joining us.
Hello, Jazz.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure thing. So I'd like to always say I'm a storyteller at heart and a communication consultant by choice. I've never been big on titles because I come from a long history of titles as well. So in the topic of personal branding, which we would love to explore as we go, I will cover job titles. I will cover areas that we often get mired with when it comes to personal
Tell us
branding.
about yourself before we get onto the title, though. Tell us about yourself and what you do before we.
Okay, so a quick career snapshot. I've had 3 career pivots. I started out in journalism, moved to government comms, embraced consultancy for the last 5+ years, and along the way built disciplines in fields that I never thought were actually connected, but I've connected them all through storytelling.
Oh, amazing. Okay. So today you chose this title, How to Build a Personal Brand that is authentic and aligned. Can you tell us why you chose that for today and what's important about it?
I love that question. So there's so much to say and unpack about personal branding, and authenticity seems to be one of those things that gets bandied about quite a bit, like how to be authentic, be your authentic self, be yourself. The truth is that in personal branding, what it really means is speaking from a place of lived experience and your own truth, and then aligning it with who you want to be known for, your values, what is it that you're aspiring to become or grow, like in a state of a founder. It might be something that his or her mission to build something. So in a nutshell, that is what it is. And also not to be distracted by things that aren't within your universe or ecosystem of who you are. So people really anchor you as this person known for this particular area.
Oh, wow. Wow, no, thank you. Thank you so much for explaining that. And actually, we've had a lot of comments and questions about this topic. So I think it's a really important topic. So I'm really excited to dig right in. So where would we start with this? So where do we start with building this personal brand that's authentic and aligned? What's the first step?
I'm smiling because I always go back, well, journey within yourself. So quite often when I run masterclasses with university students or even pre-grad, the question is like, how do I build a brand? How do I become the next YouTuber? How can I become, a person of influence? Or how do I get popular? And the truth about personal branding at its core is really about you, person. That's one person. That's just you. So the journey starts with self, is actually knowing your values. We can start with, what do you stand for? Like in my case, I identify with curiosity a lot. I'm curious by nature. I love learning. I'm big on compassion. It's something that has anchored me through all my different roles. So when I often talk to whether it's students or founders or just clients, the idea is start with your value system. What do you stand for? And then from there, you build onto your why. Why is it that you're doing what you're doing? Because if you go chase somebody else's why and say, I want to be like that person, it's no longer aligned, it's no longer authentic. And we also risk in many ways running out of steam because it's no longer sustainable either. Because you're trying to be someone you're not. Right? You can
Yeah.
be more of who you are and bring that to the table across all different areas. And some of the principles that I stand by when it comes to personal branding is one, that personal branding starts in the real world, not online. So it starts with what you choose, the choices you make, the way you interact with people, how you speak for yourself and stand for yourself. That is who you are. And then from there, it extends to online platforms. It can extend to initiatives that you launch and so on and so forth. But it always starts with self.
Wow, there's a lot there. No, but it really makes sense what you're saying. Like most things in life start with us, yeah. Well, I think everything actually starts with us, doesn't it? Our awareness of who we are. So going back to the values then, so what kind of questions would we ask ourselves about? I know you said, what do we stand for? But what if we're not sure, like we're feeling quite lost, sometimes we can have those phases in our lives where, You know, we just don't know.
Yeah, so two layers to this question. Number one, when it comes to values, there are online tools available for you to check where your value matrix is and where you're most aligned with. A good way as a sense check that I use when I work with people is, does this feel more like you? And if you had a gun to your head, would this be you? Right?
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's a bit out there, but if it were in a state,
Makes you make
would
that
you
decision.
choose path A or would you choose path B with this value in place? What would you choose? Right, in difficult scenarios. And when it comes to strategies, and let's say perhaps people in leadership positions, will these values guide your behavior? Will they guide decision making when things are tough? You know, it's almost like saying, what do you do when no one's looking? So that's layer one. And the layer two is that as people, our identities and the many versions of ourselves, we're constantly in a state of becoming and unbecoming and becoming more of who we are. So perhaps the values that shaped me as an employee are not the values that shaped me now, let's say as a founder or somebody building something. So values also go through an evolution, just like we as people. So to be mindful, I think a sense of self-awareness is important, to say this does not feel right. And as an example, I will give you an initiative I started in June of last year. It's called Beyond Cubicles, and it is a give back to society initiative where I feature founders who have been employees and have left their 9-to-5 reality to start something of their own. Now, the values that shape you as an employee may not be the same values that kind of feed it into the entrepreneurial spirit, or even the hunger, the thirst, the ambition that it takes to get to where you need to get. So self-awareness is a tool, again, to know that this is who I am, and also the guardrails, this is who I'm not. You know, a lot of us deal with this is where we need to go, but it bodes well to also know where do we not go, and who are we not.
Amazing. Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah, you can learn a lot by spinning it that way as well. We've just got a question from Sarah on Instagram. Hi, Sarah. How are you doing? She says, can you share a personal story of how building your own authentic brand helped you in your career?
Oh, I love that. Thank you, Sarah, for the question.
Thanks, Sarah.
Okay, so this is one of my personal favorite stories. So I, as a journalist, I did not have to worry about building a brand because I was a byline writer, a byline reporter, and people automatically want to be friends with a journalist. I didn't have to try. And then I joined a Dubai government entity where I was leading PR and comms, and I had Dubai government on my business card, on on the material, and people like, can I be friends with you, or can I get to know you better, or can we do this work? And in 2020, I quit and I embraced consultancy. And I remember the first call I made, and the person was like, "Who's this?" And I said, "Carolina," and said, "Carolina from where?" And I said, "Just Carolina." No big name, no title,
really?
no company, nothing that was recognizable at all. And now when I go and to answer Sarah's question, I've actually just come back as just Carolina. There's still no big company name. Everything that I've built has been built in the back of my own work or my passion or my dedication. And it's always been a sense of purpose that has driven that. So even in the case of the series that I started called Beyond Cubicles about founder journeys, I built it as Carolina. And I remember the first few cases that I spoke to, they're like, who are you and what are you doing? Because it wasn't, a Gulf News reaching out saying, I'd like to feature you. Yes. Neither was it like a big government name saying, hey, I'd like to collaborate with you. It was just somebody at that time saying, hey, I want to do this. Would you be willing? And I gained that trust over time. And again, to answer perhaps a slightly broader remit of that question, when you choose self and self-trust, you're no longer shackled by a title and an X this and an X that, and also the security. A lot of people look at having a title which is deeply linked to a sense of stability, security, and identity. Wow. And therein, Sarah, for you to think about it is the more you are of yourself, whether you are an employee, whether you're a founder, whether you're doing something of your own, whatever is your jam, bring more of who you are, your values, your vision, your mission to the table, and watch the magic happen. Then people will know you for you, not just attach you with just a title or the company that you've been associated with.
That's really interesting, actually, because I think as well, we can hide behind job titles, can't we? And we can possibly
and we
lose
absolutely
our
do.
Yeah. So what would you say to that then? I know you have answered that a little bit, but expanding on your answer, talking
So when it
about,
comes to values, so I did this really interesting webinar a while ago with a company that spoke about the culture of an organization and how your own value system fits within that. And the answer is really find you and then see how you can relate to the culture of the company.
Okay.
So if you are, like for me, I'm curious by nature. As a value, it's something that drives me. I love learning new things. And I can see myself, regardless of which, employer I was with, that it came into play. So when you go to your own values, whether that might be integrity or a sense of, I want to make this world a better place, whatever that might look like for you, find your little world and make a mark on that.
Very
and live
interesting.
those out. Living out values, that's how you through reps, through interactions, which is why it comes back to my first principle. Personal branding starts in real life, and the journey to self is that.
Oh, I love that. I love that. I've written some of that down because I don't want to forget. No, yeah, it totally resonates with me. No, thank you so much for sharing all of this. So we've got another Sarah again. Hi, Sarah. She's back. I think Sarah likes stories. She says, have you seen a personal brand go off track? What happened and what lessons can others take from that?
Oh, again, a very lovely question, Sarah.
Yeah.
I have, and it's not so much off track, it's more misalignment. And I've
Okay.
got loads of stories. I not just one or two, I've got loads of stories because it's the kind of work that I do. So think of it, a professional in one industry moving to another industry and has no thorough line, saying there's no connection. And they now need to build a reputation in that field. Or an employee, let's not even go far. An employee, when you come out of the scaffolding that a company brings you and you're suddenly on your own, you don't have a brand. You just go out in the world completely alone because there is no scaffolding with you. There are no rules, there are no policies,
Exactly.
there's nothing, big name. So can it go amok? Can it go completely in the different direction? Yes, it can, which is why I insist when it comes to, regardless of what I'm working to, let's say someone who was a senior manager got promoted to a really high post and had a very operational mindset and took a lot of time for alignment in pushing that sense of I am now the head of this so-and-so. And again, that misalignment appears because your identity has not really caught up with your value system. So if you go back to self and learn to self-trust, you're always able to move through the chaos in a lot more of a, I'm saying the word align multiple times, but really in a lot more.
Important. Yeah. Sorry, what was the last thing you said?
The aligned manner. You're able to move through chaos more aligned because you go back to self, you go back to values. So even if you go off track, it's almost like crisis comms, right? You think about it, you're like, oh gosh, I slipped up, right? You recognize it, and then you have reparative measures.
Wow. So we keep going back to, which I find really interesting as well, alignment and self-trust. So I guess that they seem to be like the first steps. So how would you advise people to, build that self-trust? Like, are you talking about like therapy and coaching and things like that?
No, it's belief in yourself when everything else falls apart. It's literally just that. So no matter what happens, I got me. You do me for me kind of a self-trust. And I say this because having worked with a lot of founders, a lot of senior professionals, people who have lost jobs overnight. There was one lady at work, which she was with the company for 24 years before they asked her to leave. Her entire brand was anchored in that I am a leader with so-and-so global company. And I've seen several cases, rinse and repeat, in the sense where your identity is so closely tied to either a title or a company or something you once were. And self-trust is really just the opposite, because that gives you a sense of false sense of stability and certainty. And on the opposite side of certainty is really self-trust, because it's knowing that no matter what happens, I'm going to figure this out. So it's not therapy, it's not a tool. It's just like telling yourself that, look, I believe in me. That's where the value system comes, right? No matter what goes wrong, I'll figure it out. I've got an idea for a new business. I'm going to go because I believe in it. Or even matter something as simple as posting online. And a lot of people are like, I'm so scared to do it. I'm so scared of visibility. What are people going to say? Why do you worry about what people are going to say? If it feels true to you, you do it.
And
You
I think
keep searching.
Yeah, I think that's really important that you're saying that, because that's just it, isn't it? You can have that great idea, but sometimes you can be blinded, or you could lose your confidence if everybody around you disagrees with your vision. And I think it's such a key skill, an important skill to have the trust, the belief, and the courage to just listen to yourself, because
Absolutely.
very rarely everybody's going to see it as well, are they? So I think that's very, very important. But I think with me, for example, for me, like self-belief, like I have that now, but like I said, I've had lots of coaching, I've done a lot of work on myself. And I think had I not done that work on myself, I probably wouldn't have the self-confidence, the self-esteem and courage to actually take the action that I wanted to take. But maybe not everybody needs that. Maybe it's easier to have. But for me, that was quite a difficult thing to overcome, to gain that self-belief. It didn't come just for me saying, okay, I believe in myself. Maybe I did believe in myself, but to have the courage, that was something else, because it can be quite easy if you have doubts, self-doubts, and then everybody is saying what you're doubting, it can stop you. How did that work for you then, if you didn't have like the coach?
So for me, it's evidence building. It's evidence building little by little.
Okay.
It's the reps that you take. And having
Amazing.
featured all these founders since June of last year, and there's one truth that comes, and it's common: just do it. Don't wait for the time to be perfect. Don't wait for the right circumstances. Yes, there's logic to roll out an MVP. Make sure that you have a small idea validated before you go big. Speak to people. Yes, that all of this makes business sense. But in your gut, if you believe something, you're never going to know what it feels like till you give it a shot.
Yes.
And that's the same with building, more of you in the workplace, or more of you as a student, or whoever you might be. Self-trust is built not by telling ourselves we're good, but by repetition and evidence.
Yes.
So, I remember my very first webinar. I was literally like sweating, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to go live. And I didn't know whether I was ever going to be doing. And this comes from a person who's been on stage, but I've been on stage backed by the name of a company or a title I held.
Yes.
And suddenly when the context shifts, and I had to keep reminding myself, you are the same person who was on stage then. Wow. The difference is now you just don't have a backing. It's just you. Woohoo. You got to get this done for you. And that's again, building evidence, building it through reps. So even showing up online, you say, and I often tell some of my clients, they're like, do you think I should post every day? I'm like, what's your comfort level? What can you commit to? What can you be sustainable? Is it once a month? Do it once a month. That's okay. But you're staying true to your capacity, to you're not coming, you can't go from 0 to 100. We're not all Ferraris, whatever other Bugattis that are there, right? We might need baby steps, and that's okay.
Exactly. Then you won't let yourself down. Then you build the trust. Yeah.
Yes. Pretty much.
No, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. No, I love everything that you're saying, Carolina. Is there anything else you want to say that we haven't spoken about as well?
I think the question that I get asked quite frequently is, how do I know I need personal branding? Like,
that's good.
Well, what is personal branding? Fine, we know personal branding is about sum total of you, bringing the best part of you, and all sorts of other things. But when you're asked, do I need to think about my personal branding? And I often use these 3 questions. I'm like, number 1, are you clear about who do you want to be known for? Not in like, I want to be a Nobel Prize winner kind of a, big mission, but at least a more or less idea of, yes, I want to be known in this circle, or want to be known as this authority, whatever have you. The second one is the audience that you're building connected to your mission. Right? So you can't be building in a vacuum. You're building for a specific purpose. Right? And then when it comes to the third question, I'm like, okay, with whatever it is that you're doing, is it bringing more of yourself to the table? Or are you cringing? Or are you going, oh, that's not me? And if you're doing that, it's time to take a good look at, am I being aligned with who it is that I stand for, my value system? What am I building? Who am I building it for? And these people, my community, my tribe that I'm building, will they be there to support my mission? And one of the really, I use this example. It's like, you're a music, you're a pop star. You've got this great song and you want to fill a concert hall. Who are these people that need to be there to watch you? Think about those people. So you're building for a specific audience as well.
Yes,
so
yeah. Very, very important, very important. How important do you think patience is? Because, I know consistency, we could talk about that as well, but patience, because, how, like, you could be trying something and what if it's not working? How do you know whether to, just wait and keep going, or do we need to change the strategy? Or
Okay, that is a really big nuanced question, because
I know
it really depends on the goals that you have, and one can't have like a cookie cutter answer. Well, if it's not working, shift in 6 months.
Yes.
So I go back because I view personal branding through the lens of reputation building and storytelling. So in reputation building, we take time to build reputation in something. And I don't chase, and I don't believe in chasing virality. It is far better it's far better to start small, start slow. And with enough repetitions, like you said, the consistency, there will be a time that people are like, oh, that's the girl, or that's the guy who does X, whatever that X might be. And reputation building is not an overnight thing. It takes time and patience. Even if you don't have any patience, I'd say suck it up. Focus on the consistency part of things. You can be impatient. You're like, it's not working, I'm not getting. And then I get people saying, I'm not getting likes. Why is likes the validation? So it then comes down to the metrics of what you're measuring. So if you say, I have no patience for what? Right? If you're chasing an outcome vis-a-vis an output, if your plan is to win the war, can we not focus on the little battles? Can we just focus on the war? Right? We need to win the war. So let's not. So one needs to be agile. One needs to be patient to some degree. But I think more than that, they just need to be true to who they are and realize that no matter how long, it will happen. It will take time.
Yes, I would love that. And we've got another question from Trevor on Instagram. Hi, Trevor. How are you doing? He says, how do you measure success when building a personal brand? Is it followers, opportunities, or something else?
Okay, so for this one, I always stick with going back to who you are and what is it that you want to achieve. So let's say in my case, and I want to do something in the world of mountaineering, I know that I might be looking for partnerships, I might be looking for sponsorships, and so on and so forth. Now, within that ecosystem, if I hit those two, I don't care if I've got 10 followers or just 3 followers, and the 3 followers, one of them is a sponsor. So it really depends on what is it that you're chasing and what are your goals. So if you look at it as a foundation, almost like a pyramid, you've got your values. Then on top of your values, you're like, okay, this is who I am. Let me build a purpose for myself. So as you grow, you'll realize that as you build your tribe, it'll become perhaps even increasingly clearer that it's about building the group of people in your concert hall. So get the right people in there, and then little by little leverage. And I still go back to my first principle. Personal branding starts in real life. If you're going to chase likes and followers and comments, if it doesn't tie into your purpose and what you're building in the real world, then you're not doing something right. So it could be opportunities, it could be speaking opportunities, it could be opportunity for visibility, anything around that. It could be opportunity for sponsorship. I hear of stories being connected with, I know you're building this. I have this group that is looking for investment. And it happens, and it can happen really organically.
Yeah. Brilliant. Trevor says thanks. That's brilliant. No, thank you so much, Carolina. Yeah, no, super, super interesting. I love what you say about connecting it with real life. I think that's really, it just makes so much sense, actually. It's such a simple phrase that you use, but it's just so powerful. So I really love that. But yes, we're running out of time. Of course, we could talk about this for hours, but is there anything else you want to say before we go? And how can people find you?
Well, I'm on LinkedIn, so thank you for that, Jazz, and thank you for having me. I think what I'd like to stress upon with everyone, as I did for myself, is don't build your brand with the scaffolding of company and title, because these things can disappear overnight. And I've seen it happen. I've seen it through my own journey where I decided I want something else in my life. And when you start building after, there is I would admit there is a gap of, I wish I'd done more when I had the scaffolding, when I had the structure, when it was easy to pick up the phone and say, I work for Dubai government. Can I please do this? So I think if you think about, if you're an employee right now, start building your brand right now. There is no better time. A lot of founders that I have featured often say, they jump from being employee to founder, but the very little, almost like a nosedive, and they had to figure things along the way. But now picture a different reality where you're thinking about something, you're building a brand, and by the time you're ready to launch, people already know you. So start building yesterday. Wherever you are, start building. Wherever you're in life, whichever career, stage you're in, start building yesterday.
Oh, I love that advice. I love that. That's like, that advice could just be good for so many areas of our lives. Yeah, it's just start, basically. Just start, just do something. And I love what you said as well, just do it. That's another powerful phrase, simple but very powerful. No, thank you so much, Carolina. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Can you also do you remember those questions you mentioned about the values, finding out your values? Would you mind writing those and adding any links that you have on the original
post? On as a comment, not a problem.
Amazing. But thank you so much, Carolina. And really a pleasure. And thank you everybody for joining. Thank you for your questions. If you have any comments or more questions, please contact Carolina directly or leave a question or comment on the post, and I will see everybody next week.